always validate idea before building the products. Since it's a trend that people prefer to join in the hacking, I think it will be like 1 million indie hackers in the next few of years. I think it's always good to try as many things as you can when you're young, instead of regretting when you get old.
Yeah, you have to try more, fail more, and learn more.
Yeah.
Hi, audience. Welcome to GoGoGlobal. Today, we are excited to be joined by Luo. Luo is one of the most famous indie hackers in China. Hi, Luo. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Xiaohan. Thank you for inviting me.
Before we dive into more details about you, I just searched online and surprisingly found out you got almost more than 25,000 followers on Twitter. Well, I just wanted to tell you, I firstly registered my account on Twitter back in 2016, but I seldom use it. Recently, I just want to get more interactions with developers, so I just reuse it. But I didn't get so many followers as you. So I'm so curious about how did you come along with a lot of followers on Twitter? How did you do that?
Well, it's actually a bit of long story. It wasn't until 2022, and when the pandemic had started me indoor, and one day I was scrolling down the Twitter feeds, and I found some really cool people sharing their um, stories about how they build their products and how they made money from it. I was like, wow, that's very awesome. I want to do that as well. So that's pretty much how I created my account and started my own indie hacker journey. And I post my own stories and show up every day to my audience, and people seems to really like it. That's how I grew my audience finally to 25,000 until today.
Mm-hmm. And you've successfully launched two products on Twitter as well, or one is Heyform and one is Early Bird. Which one came first? Came earlier?
Is Heyform.
And Heyform is kind of the open sourced alternative of Typeform.
Yeah, but it wasn't designed to be open source at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. And based on these two products, what is the biggest takeaway from these two? And you must learn something, right? And also tell us more lessons about it.
Yeah. First of all, I want to share my learnings from building these two products. It's always validate idea before building the products.
Mm-hmm.
We spent 6 months is building the MVP of Heyform, and when we finished the and released the MVP, we found there is no demand for MVP for Heyform, and there is no one using it.
Mm.
We feel very frustrated because we spend a lot of time on it. And for early bird, we just use the landing page to test the demand by creating a waiting list. So people sign up first, and I have a long list of users who are interested in the product. So we gain the traction very easy.
So throughout this experience, you've accumulated a lot of strategies, especially targeting on marketing strategy, right?
Yes.
Well, now before these two products, I also know you're also the kind of serial entrepreneur, and you have two startups in the past 5 to 10 years. And the first startup will begin when you were still the student in college, right? So
Yes.
could you tell us more about these two experiences of starting a business?
The first business that started as a student is a web hosting
Mm-hmm.
service, and I sell virtual servers and dedicated servers to customers all over the world. And my second business is uh, a software email client, but it failed at last.
Okay, let's move on to the most exciting part about indie hackers. I really wanted to know more about indie hackers because indie hackers is so trendy in China right now. A lot of developers have the desire wanted to create something. So quick Q&A. First of all, how many indie hackers in China right now, from your perspective?
Um, Actually, I don't have a solid count, but when I was reading on Twitter, I guess there is got to be at least like 100,000 indie hackers in China.
Wow, that's
And I think the trend, yeah, since it's a trend that people prefer to join indie hacking, I think it will be like 1 million indie hackers in the next few of years.
really. When did you think it was the time point for the big leap of incremental developers to boom?
um, over the past of uh, Over the past couple of years, I think I've seen many more people jump in, building their own business. Is because they were laid off by their companies because just of um, because their companies think they are too old for that for
Uh,
their job,
mm,
and some of them actually want to build a business for themselves to make some passive income.
mm.
It's just cool to be your own boss. So, like I said, the community is growing like crazy. And I'm really shocked when I see people are talking about joining as a full-time indie hacker.
Mhm. And the indie hacker group just increased a lot, maybe in the past 3 to 5 years. Is it correct?
Yes, more or less.
Okay, cool. And as for this group of people, the distribution of them also is quite scattered. They can be anywhere, maybe in Yunnan province, maybe in Bali, or maybe in Silicon Valley. Yeah, they just
Yeah,
have to engage online through a lot of communities online and polish their products and release them online, right?
yeah.
But this involves a very important topic we wanted to talk with you is about product-led growth, which can be short as PLG, right?
Yeah.
The terminology you used. Well, as for PLG, what kind of PLG in your eyes is efficient?
From what I've observed, the most effective PLG strategy in China is definitely UI and UX design. Because it look if your product looks good, it will be a good mind because people love it, and they will share it like crazy. So it's all about the first impression. If your design pops, people will try it and spread the word without you even asking.
So it has to be look great. The
Yeah,
UI, the design. Wow. It
yeah.
so the
Everyone,
uh-huh.
everyone wants a pretty product.
So do you think the concept of PLG will just derived from the company named Notion? Do you think so?
Yeah, a lot of companies adopt that concept by learning how PLG works in Notion.
But I have to say, I've seen a lot of products are created by indie hackers. They all look good. The landing page are fabulous.
Yeah,
It seems that they have used a lot of templates, right? It's very easy for them to have those types of templates at present.
yes, thanks to all the cutting edge front end templates or framework,
Mm-hmm.
um, Tailwind CSS or ShareCN makes like every landing page looks the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you have a lot of followers on Twitter and you have a lot of experience on marketing. So a lot of companies, not only the big tech companies, but also the indie hackers want you to help them do the promotion, especially when they have the products wanted to be sold globally, right? And what's your observation of these two type of clients? Why they want you to help them do this kind of thing? And what do they
So
lack of
okay,
capabilities? Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's a funny story. It wasn't even planned. I got good at launching my own product on Product Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
This Product Hunt is one of the best platform for people to launch the new products. So just figuring out it as an indie hacker to launch a product on Product Hunt, I started help some of my friends with their own launches, and they crushed it.
Mm-hmm.
And they then spread the word to their friends as well. And finally, some big gems like ByteDance, Kuaishou,
Mm.
hit me up. I was like, okay, so I think I should charge them and make it a service.
Mm.
So what I have noticed is these companies, even its huge ones, they also struggle with getting started from scratch
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to going to global. And they are kind of lost on how to kicking things off. And I have some experience on that. So I make it simple by setting up my own SOP for that.
Yeah, that's true. But nowadays, I found it that a lot of products, especially created by Chinese founders, have flown into product hunt. Uh-huh. So there are a lot of Chinese products on that platform, right? Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It's kind of fully competitive and very crowded. Rising market. Can we see that?
yeah, of course. And most of the Chinese products on Perhan are actually my clients.
So, for me, I think the marketing strategy um is similar. So,
Yeah.
for the mode of most startups about the marketing, they have to come up with new ideas about marketing, new plans, right? They have to think about it. But what do you think? Which is the most difficult, the first barrier for them to do this global marketing?
When it comes to marketing, I think the largest barrier for them is actually the language. A lot of these companies lean on AI to write their copy, but actually they don't know if it performs good or not. So they are super shy about chatting with overseas customers because they feel that they are less confident about their language. They cannot um, overcome the language gap.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk
Yeah,
more
that's the
about
main
this
problem.
topic. Yeah, because I know a lot of founders, they are not good at English at all, especially for oral English, but they have learning the English. And they hire the tutors to teach all of the team members to learn English because they wanted to have the global vision, want to go global, right? And but in my observation, there are a lot of indie hikers are pretty good at English and they can easily just chat on Twitter with global indie hackers, right? So
Yeah,
English is most important. You have to speak it out.
yeah. But I think if you are just on social media, like making posts,
Mm-hmm.
um, it is always easier to get started with. For example, you can learn from some um, influencers and learn how they write the post. But if you are talking with customers, you have no one to learn from because you have to uh, communicate with your customers in person. And if your language is not good enough, the customer might not trust you because of that.
So what's the most popular method that for Chinese teams to interact with foreign customers? They are few just throughout the Zoom, Skype, or just call or email, cold email.
For me, my customers always book my time from my Calendly link,
Mm-hmm.
and we scheduled a meeting on Zoom or Google Meet.
So if there is a software which can help you guys to interact with each other seamlessly, help you to translate in real time, maybe would be helpful for those indie hackers, you think?
Yeah, of course it will.
And this is already some products like this have come out.
Yeah, I have tried some of them,
Uh,
but I feel none of them actually meet my requirements.
uh, you mentioned about the translation space or other experiencing.
Uh, because I feel I always want it to be the translation should become out like in real time.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that there is a latency
Mm,
uh, to in the meanwhile.
yeah, I think so. But it does grab some pinpoints for users, right? Okay.
Yeah,
And another question. I'm working in the venture capital industry, and I know you are also the co-founder of 出海去 Accelerator, which aims to help solopreneurs or indie hackers to grow, right? And you partner with Yucheng probably 2 years ago. You've done a
yeah.
great job. And I'm really curious about, I know you guys are promoting the solopreneur, right? And
Yeah.
for solopreneurs, maybe in this era, doesn't need to have a lot of capital funded by venture capital. So what do you think for those indie hackers, their views onto venture capital?
I think most of them actually desire VC because it can be seen as a sign of success and validation.
Mm-hmm.
But truth is, hardly anyone can get it because VC are picky.
Mm.
They dig into your past and your wins, your portfolios, and whether your ideas fit their vibe. So, but I have seen a new trend. More and more people are starting to build a bootstrapped business. So building without investors is getting like way more popular in the hackers.
Well, this topic leads me to think about one question because it seems that for indie hackers and the venture capitalists are in the two different narrative systems, right? VC,
Yeah,
you mentioned that they are very picky because they wanted to um, pick someone who has the very, very shining profile, leads a lot of teams in big tech companies. But for indie hackers, maybe they are so young, they don't have a lot of team members, and they just polish the product by themselves. So maybe they are in two different spaces, and they can't interact with each other very seamlessly, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you think indie hackers, if they have the chance to have the VC backed, they are willing to do so? Because in my view, I've seen a lot of indie hackers just want to do the side projects, and even a great amount of indie hackers, they didn't resign their own full-time job. They just want to do their projects at night after work. So do you think for these type of indie hackers, are they more easily to get successful if they just work on as the side project?
Well, I think most of the indie hackers should start from building the products as part-time or just as a side hustle because you cannot take your own take yourself in risk because every product has to be grown from scratch,
Mm-hmm.
from zero.
Mm,
And some, it takes time to gain some traction and get the first like 100 paying customers. And once your revenue can cover all your daily costs, you can quit your job and invest all your time and money
mm-hmm.
onto that business. I think that's the good time to get started as a full time.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think? What type of quality or characteristics is good for an indie hacker from your
Um, yeah, I think the key quality is curiosity.
curiosity?
Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah, indie hackers are always learning, and whether it's about new tools or new marketing strategies or just how to improve their own product, you have to be willing to experiment, to feel, um, to learn from the bad or good to get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And especially for AI timing, a lot of young ages have come to this era, and I have seen a lot of indie hackers just drop out from college, and after having the undergrad, um, after completing the undergraduate study, they just become the indie hackers, which is
Yeah.
most distinctly different from the past developers, right? So what do you think about this trend?
Personally, I admire those who drop out to become indie hacker, and I think it's always good to try as many things as you can when you are young,
Mm.
instead of regretting when you get old.
Yeah, yeah. You have to try more, fail more, and learn more.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So, and for the working style, indie hackers are more in a free way. So for them, most of them are preferring to work at home or just work outside, do you think? Live in an office, traveling while working?
So personally, I always work from home. It just works best for me because I have everything I need right here, and it makes me super productive.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, being at home helps me stay in control of my time. And for other people, I think if you can, you can go out to, for example, like you can work at Starbucks or a co-working space. It makes you um, to have a sense of working with others, like you are in a environment of collaboration.
It's really interesting. I found out two places at least for indie hikers gathering together. One is Liangzhu village in Hangzhou city, right? And
Yeah,
another one is Dali, Dali city in Yunnan province. These two
yeah,
are
many
so
people
popular.
want to go there.
Why? Why?
Um, so far, I have heard that quite a few of my friends want to spend their time with their collections they know, and um, because they are open to start new products or projects with their collections there.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That's another lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk more about AI.
Okay.
Oh, in the
Yeah.
past 2 years, a lot of indie hackers want to work with AI and want to embrace this era. But what type of products are mostly coming out created by indie hackers? To people or to B? And if to people, what kind of industry that they are working on? If to business, to enterprises business, what type of software or hardware they are working on?
I think most indie hackers I know in to people business. It's easier to jump into as you can um, release something for regular people and get feedback fast, and you can play around with new ideas. That's why I see. Um, that's why you can see so many cool apps and tools are coming out every day.
Mm-hmm.
But for B2B, it takes longer to land your new customers. And when you do that, they are worthy way more. I think it's happening. I can say that more indie hackers are now diving into serving or targeting at a small and medium business.
Mm-mm. But for indie hackers, they're very easily to change their idea. Well, for one project, the A project they have completed, they just come out with the demo and polish them into relatively mature product. But when they face the barriers, especially on marketing, maybe they're just stuck there and can't move forward. So, and at that time, they have the B idea coming out, and then they switch to another B and work C, D, E, F, G. So they can easily produce a lot of products in 1 year,
Yeah,
but they can't just insist on one and scale up to the business. If they can scale up to a business, maybe that's the typical founder that we wanted to invest in, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I think it's not bad if you have multiple products at the same time. But scaling a product takes a lot of time, and sometimes it's just like you don't have it cannot find your traction, and which makes you burn out. So some people might think, okay, it's time to pivot. But from my own past experience, I think if you stick on what you have believed, it will finally pay off. As you know, Form has been now 4 years old, and if we have given up, we won't be able to see it became the best open source form builder on
Mm-hmm.
GitHub.
Yeah, that's right. So have to be more patient, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so call back to last question. The CEO of a startup, an early stage startup, and the indie hacker, it seems that there is just a gap between these two. And what do you think is the most significant quality for the indie hackers jump to the founder of the startup?
Okay. So for indie hacker, um, he has to consider, I mean, he has to take everything into consideration, like building products, marketing, or maybe finding more customers to close the deal. But for CEO of a startup, I think the focus of the CEO should be on recruitment and fundraising,
Mm,
maybe. I don't know. So I think it's the target or your focus that makes the gap.
mm-hmm. True. Part of the reason. Yeah. Um, and you've get familiar with a lot of global indie hackers in Middle East, in Europe, in United States, and also in Southeast Asia. You've get familiar with them, and I've seen you have a lot of interactions on Twitter, at least, right? What do you think is the biggest difference between Chinese indie hackers and the global indie hackers?
So if it was 2 or 3 years ago, overseas indie hackers tend to build some niche market products. But for Chinese indie hackers, they prefer to build some um, products for everyone, like to-do list, journals, and notes, something like that.
But for now, they are
But
tending to do the
yeah,
same thing.
for now, I can see more and more people are jumping to build niche market products as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And I've also seen the trend that not only the developers but also customers have been all exposed to the global market, and we're just hitting by um, the most frontest and state of the art products every day and news every day. So I really think the copycat, this kind of business model, doesn't exist anymore. Well, let's just imagine back in 10 or 20 years ago, just some models, China, copycat, America copycat. Some countries mimic some countries. They're just two divided industries. But for now, we're just immersed with each other more deeply. So for the newly startups, they have to, even for the new indie hackers, they have to come up with the idea and try to do this to the maximum, to the fullest, right? You have to compete with competitor globally. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. But copycat are actually everywhere. If you are really a good product, you end up with having a lot of copycats. That's common.
But that copycat doesn't have to be categorized with countries.
Yeah.
Right. This is a very interesting trend that we've all witnessed. Okay, let's move on to more personal questions. I just heard you are working on some secret project, right? What is that?
Yeah, yeah,
Can you just
exactly.
unveil a little bit of that?
Okay, right now I'm building a new product, which is an AI role placing. You can think character AI, but building for Gen Z.
Uh,
I wanted to feel a bit of fun and totally their style. I mean, for Gen Z, and we have already got the MVP out there, and we're now getting like 10,000 unique visitors every day. So for 2025, we are pushing to a new level in press.
it just sounds like it's. I just heard a great transition from software to role play, right?
Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of competitors there.
Yeah, I think so. So, are you ready for the
Yeah,
competition?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
I like competition. I like it.
Uh-huh. Well, I trust you because you must grasp some entry that only suitable for you, and you can use your strategy to make it better compared with the other
Yeah.
right? Okay, good project. And you've seen a lot of indie hackers, and I wanted to invest some of them if I can see the greater ones. So in your accelerator with Yucheng, how many indie hackers could achieve the standard of the MRR can overpass the 5,000 USD dollars?
Well, I think if we set $5,000 as a milestone,
Yeah.
I think it's really hard because most of people are actually having two barriers. The first is that they don't build a product in a niche market and they fail to resolve a real problem. So people are not willing to pay for that. And the second factor is that they don't do market. Sorry, I mean they don't do proper marketing, and they don't stay consistent about their marketing efforts. And even the best products won't succeed if you don't if no one knows about it, right? So I think that's the main problem that indie hackers failed to build their product to achieve 5,000 MR.
If you find someone who surprisingly achieved MR over 5,000 US dollars, please let me know. Please.
Okay, of course I will.
Thank you. Thank you first. And last but not least, one last sentence given to all indie hackers. It can be a
Um,
word of blessing or it can be the suggestion just from you.
okay, yeah, just one um, suggestion. Like I said earlier in the episode, market before you're building. You need to validate the idea and then try to scale it up as soon as possible. Don't fail for that. If you build it, they will come. That's a trap. So you have to focus on getting the right audience first. Otherwise, your product won't get attention. So yeah, that's it.
audience, if you are indie hackers, listen to that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Law. Thank you for your time, and
Yeah.
hope to have you here again after your new project launching.
Thank you for having me, Xiaohan.
Okay, cool.